Tourist is back. And he broke that block. Welcome everybody, this is Too Old to Be Gaming, and I wanted to bring to everybody's attention some disturbing behavior that I found with the zombies during Horde Night. In my previous Horde Night I had a base collapse and I was trying to figure out why that occurred, so I reran the Horde Night just to see what was going on. During the replay I discovered something very interesting and disturbing with the zombie behavior. I wanted to bring this behavior to other people's attention just to see if anybody else has experienced this. I reran a test horde 5 times and I saw this on every single one. So this particular horde base is 16 blocks tall, so zombies falling down. So it should reduce their chances of going into destroy everything mode. Nobody's really beating on anything down below. I'm at survivor difficulty level. I have block and AI damage at 150. I'm running 64 zombies. My initial reasoning for my walkway collapse was I thought the cops were vomiting at me up at an angle and they were clipping the side of the column. The first wave had a lot of cops in it, so I assumed it was just a lot of the cops just puking up at me and it just got hit so many times that it collapsed. But I did notice a lot of the zombies were dropping to their knees right out in front of me and doing that banging on the block motion that we've all been seeing them do. I didn't think too much about it because the block that they were standing on wasn't getting destroyed. Yes, it was taking damage, but it wasn't being destroyed. The blocks below the block they were standing on were the ones taking damage. Again, I assumed it was the cop vomit. The cop vomit was only a portion of the damage and not the majority of the damage. When they drop to their knees into that destroy everything mode, they are damaging blocks below them up to 4 blocks below where they are. They damage that top block, yes, but the damage is getting migrated between 2, 3, and 4 blocks below them. And in some cases, they're damaging a block that's not even below them. It's 1 block before or after them. I'll show several clips from 2 different runs to show the damage and how it can vary depending on a couple of situations. If your horde base just has a long walkway with just the 1 block down below and not a column like I did, then you would probably never know this was occurring because I didn't. And in my particular build, I have a very short walkway. Usually my walkway is much farther out. In the first run, I left the base in the condition that it was during my initial playthrough. In the second run, I went ahead and repaired everything. So if there was any damage, it was during that particular test. This block here got destroyed. I thought it was cop vomit. When they get there, they can see me. They were spitting up, and that was catching some of the cop vomit. But when I ran it this last time, like I said, there were some zombies just kind of standing right here doing their knee bobbing, and they were damaging these 2 blocks below where they were standing. So in my game stage, just for reference, on my level 46, game stage 122, loot stage 112. Damaging the immediate block that he's on. But a block 2 down took 1 point of damage. The spider is in destroy everything mode, and he's actually attacking the block kind of behind him. Mo is actually attacking the blocks right ahead of him. I didn't notice this at the time. That block was not repaired to 100%. Its status was something around 3,000. No cop vomit, no zombie physically touched that block. It was getting damage that was being transferred down to that block. The block went from 3798 to 3762. More transfer damage. More transfer damage. That block's down to 2169. Now it's 1869. That was 1829. You see, right there. She's hitting 3 blocks down. Now nobody was up there hitting it, so how can anybody be attacking that? 2 zombies are on their knees, beating on those top blocks, and they are damaging a block that's 3 blocks down. 4983 down to 3848. I didn't see that block there get destroyed because I was repairing something up on top, but this was the bulk of the damage on this particular Horde night. Let me go ahead and provide some clips from my second test Horde night, because there was a couple of different things that I did there. See you shortly. Some other items, and I replaced these blocks here with the flat block, added them, replaced them there, added these here, because sometimes the zombies were stopping there, and I'm curious if they, again, were doing the same thing if they stopped here, or is it just this vertical block. But in the playthrough I did before, but I forgot to hit play or record, they were doing it, but I wanted to, again, have some video proof of it, and so I added the similar thing here. The orientation of the block shouldn't matter, just like sometimes the zombies were stopping there. And there's a padding block here, and that is transferred down there. I am going to try to kill the things like the mutated zombies and any cross claws and desert vultures or desert spitters, because they kind of mess things up, but I'll leave cops. Transfer damage 4 blocks down. The padding plate is damaged now, also at 4 blocks down. She's hitting that one. Yeah, she hit down here because that was 4068. She transferred her attack down there. You see it tick down. He's attacking that there. And that is going down. You saw it change. Yep, you see it going down. That's a 4 block down. Again, I was concerned that if they were only attacking it because it was a column that went to grade, but this doesn't go to grade. It was just there for representation. So if they're stopping on a runway that doesn't have a column, they would just be hitting air, and you wouldn't be noticing this. You see that puff of smoke right there? That indicates that that block is taking damage. It can only be coming from up top. See the little puff of smoke out there? That went down. Again, it's just not consistent. He was up there, but yet his damage went on the padding block outside. Okay, yeah, he is doing his. Yep. Being attacked. That's the biker. He's doing that block. But he also damaged that padding block 2 blocks ahead of him. And we got a tourist hitting blocks. You can see the puffs indicating that block's taking damage. I mean, they're damaging a block that's 4 blocks down and 2 blocks over. I've had some blocks down in that location get destroyed. Now I know why. Tourist is back. And he broke that block. That's 4 blocks down. This block is 5 down below, 4664. Yep, and they damaged a block that's 5 below and 1 ahead of them. Alright, he's hitting that block. Alright, now that block directly below him is the one taking damage. She's causing damage to that top block and that lower block. I did repair that block there and the block that's up top on the cop to keep this experiment going. What's odd, in my first testing, they were damaging the 3rd block down. In this test, they're damaging the 4th block down. I don't know what's different. I don't know if my little plate's over here on the side or somehow changing it. Alright, I think I've provided enough examples of this crazy teleporting damage. I repaired this top block a couple of times, but never fully. I repaired that block a couple of times, but again, never fully. They each went to about 2,000 hit points. In one of the tests that I didn't record, the damage was on this column right here, not the main column. But in this episode, it was on the main column. In the testing I didn't record, hardly any damage occurred on this buffer row out here. You saw the zombies kneeling up there, bashing on that top, and their damage was being taken by this particular plate. Again, I had a slight different orientation with these plates here. Don't know if that's what it was. Is it just a randomness? But again, this is 4 blocks down. Again, the difference is in this playthrough, I had those couple of blocks there. Don't know if that played a role in it. And in this test, I had several more plates here. You know, this column, the buffer was always there, and then this little side piece here, that would have just been the regular triangular piece. Don't know if that's why the uh, damage was being transferred down to a 4th level instead of the 3rd level, because in this case, no damage to the 3rd level. And what we saw before in some of the other looks, it was on the 3rd block down below. So it would have been nice if things would have been consistent. So, but as you can see, no damage to the 2nd block, no damage to the 3rd. It was basically almost all on the 4th. The testing that I did that I forgot to record, it was all on the 3rd. Very little, if any, on the 4th. And most of it was here. None of it, very few, was on this outer buffer. So the main column and the padding column, they go all the way to grade, so they have fine structural stability. Part of the issue is the zombies are going into destroy everything mode, which occurs when they fall down. The destroy everything mode is a timed mode. So if you can delay the zombies long enough to get to you, they should be out of the destroy everything mode. So I reran this horde base with a much longer pathway up to see what would happen. While several zombies did go into destroy everything mode, by the time they ran the path, got to the ramp up, they were out of the destroy everything mode. Thus I thought everything was fine. However, when I stopped the horde and looked at the blocks, there was similar damage to the block they were standing on and blocks that were 3, 4, and 5 down below, just like before. I had on that status command so I could see if they were in the approach mode or destroy everything mode, and I don't think I saw any zombies running up that ramp that were in destroy everything mode. However, when the zombies are grouped together, it is kind of hard to tell each and everybody's status. So I just assumed that I didn't see some of the zombies that were in destroy everything mode running up that ramp, but yet similar blocks were taking damage. So I decided to run a smaller horde event with just 5 feral nurse zombies and discovered something which explains why none of the zombies running up the ramp were in destroy everything mode, but yet I had damaged blocks. Some of the zombies which were running up the ramp, which were not in destroy everything mode, they were in approach mode. As soon as they got close to me, changed to destroy everything mode, backed off a couple of blocks, dropped to their knees, and started beating up the blocks below and causing the damage that we were seeing previously. Thus, during that previous horde night with the much longer pathway, that explains why none of them were in destroy everything mode. They were in approach mode and similarly got up close to me and then changed to destroy everything mode. I wasn't able to capture those events, but I did capture that with the nurses. And there's no reason to think the nurses would be acting differently than in any of the other zombies. And if anybody is wondering about the blocks that I'm using to keep the zombies out of my horde base, they are barrier gate middle. The bars take up about 1/3 of the opening, allowing plenty of space to swing your weapons and throw out Molotovs and pipe bombs. I have had 1 or 2 spider zombies just kind of angle it right where they jump in, but that's pretty rare. And I have had 1 zombie get pushed in when he got ragdoll, but that could happen with almost any block. I have had the blocks stop the cop vomit, but I've had some cop vomits make it through. So it's a little bit of an iffy on there, but even the scaffolding ladder allows some cop vomits through. You should give it a try and see if it's the new meta block. Anyway, please let me know if anybody else has come across this issue, if they've resolved it somehow. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment. It helps grow the channel. This is Too Old to Be Gaming, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much. I really don't have any idea. I've never experienced this before. I've never really had this exact situation of a horde base, but like I was saying, if you had a longer walkway without a column down below, if they went into that destroy everything mode where they drop to their knees and start bashing on the block below, they would just be hitting air because there was no blocks down below to show this kind of damage. Zombies should not be allowed to teleport their damage through blocks onto another block they can't even touch. If anybody's had this situation or can replicate this on their own, hey, let me know. But in this case, this is what was occurring. The purpose of this video is not to critique this particular horde-based design, because I've had similar designs go much later in the game. Of course, that was also before we had these infernal and shock zombies, which I haven't tested this type of base.